Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about skateboarding. I'm joking. I don't even know how to skateboard. Today we're talking about percentages, right? Percentages. Now the word percentage is a very interesting word. Right? If you look at the word, for example, percent, this word can be broken up essentially into two parts, right? Let me use a better line for that. Per and cent. Per and cent, both words have distinct meanings. Per being out of, cent being 100. So a percentage is a value that is out of 100. That is simply what a percentage is. For example, if I give you the following percentage, 45%, right? Knowing that a percentage is out of 100 means that percentages can be expressed as a fraction, right? So 45% would be 45 out of, do you want to take a guess? I'll give you 5 hours to guess. Out of 100, right? It's 45 out of 100. So every time I give you a percentage and I ask you to express it as a fraction, right? All you simply have to do is to take the certain percentage, in this case 7%, make it your numerator, and then your denominator becomes 100. And just like that, you have expressed your percentage as a fraction. Let's do that again, but with something a bit more interesting now. Say I give you the number 150%, and I ask you to express it as a percentage very easily and simply and swackly. All you have to do is say 150 over 100. And now your percentage is expressed as a fraction. But wait, there's more. Notice how there's something fishy about this fraction here. Besides my handwriting. Yep. Yep. So the issue here is that the fraction is an improper fraction, right? The numerator is larger than the denominator, meaning that we can simplify this fraction better into a mixed number or mixed fraction. And all you have to do that is quite easy and simple and swag. 100, right? How many times does 100 go into 150 or divide into 150? That is once, right? So that 1 becomes your whole number. Now there's a remainder, right? 100 into 150 is 1 with a remainder of 50. Your numerator becomes 50. And then your denominator does not change. It remains as 100. And just like that, you have simplified your fraction. Percentages can also be expressed as fractions, right? Decimal fractions, not just fractions. Decimal fractions, right? Percentages can also be expressed as decimal fractions. How would you go about doing that, right? So I'm going to use the very same examples that I used in the first scenario. Say you've been given 45%. First things first, and you have to turn it into a decimal fraction. The first thing you want to do is to convert that into a fraction, which is quite easy to do. We just did it literally 2 seconds ago. 45% is equal to 45 over 100. Right. 7% is equal to 7 over 100. Right? Right. 150% is equal to 150 over 100 simplified 150 over 100, right? But we're not done here. What we want to do here is to convert, right, these percentages into decimal fractions. And this is the hardest thing you ever have to do in your life. This is so difficult. I'm joking. This is actually quite easy. 45 over 100 is exactly the same as saying 45 divided by 100. 45 divided by 100, right? So 45 divided by 100 is equal to 0.45. 7 divided by 100 is equal to 0.07. 1 and 50 100ths, right? Or 1 and 50 over 100, right? Converted into a decimal fraction, you take your whole number first, right? So instead of starting with 0, you're going to start with 1, which is your whole number, point, right? 50. 1.50. Now, some of you might be wondering, well, how was I able to do all of that without a calculator? There's a very simple skill that I'll teach you now. So say, for example, I'll use the first one, right? So 45 over 100. The quickest way to do this is write down your number 45. Now remember, every number has a decimal point at the end. Every whole number has a decimal point right at the end here, right? Right at the end there. So basically, dividing by 100 is you moving this decimal point 2 times to the left because you're dividing. So you're going to take your decimal point and go 1, 2. Your decimal point is now here. Your number cannot start with a decimal point. So what you do is you will just write down a 0, right? Let's do the same thing with 7 over 100, right? So 7 over 100 as a decimal point is equal to, write down your 7, your decimal point is here. You're going to say 1, 2. Now this empty space here is for a placeholder. And then your decimal point is now here. Again, a number cannot begin with a decimal point, so you will insert a 0 right there. And that's how you divide quickly without the use of a calculator. This is a quick hack here. All right, common fractions. Now, sometimes you might be asked to convert common fractions into decimals. Common fractions into decimals, right? So this is again not that difficult, right? So I'll start with the first one here. So say I have given you the following fraction: 3/25, right, into percentages. Right, now this is again quite easy. So say the first thing that you're gonna do, you're gonna write your fraction, 3/25, and then you're gonna ask yourself, how do I turn 25 into 100? Do I add 5? Do I minus 6? Do I multiply by 8? How exactly do I do that? Well, firstly, we know that 25 divides into 100 4 times. So you would need to say 25 multiplied by 4. 25 multiplied by 4, right? And then you would have your 3 on top. And remember, what you do at the bottom, you do at the top. 3 multiplied by 4 as well. When you work this out, 25 times 4 will give you 100. 3 times 4 will give you 12. 3 multiplied by 4 will give you 12. Write down your 12 up there. And lo and behold, you have yourself a lovely, dashing, beautiful fraction. It's not a percentage yet, it's a fraction, right? But if it's 12 over 100, you can simply express this as 12%, right? Let's make another example here. 16/50, right? 16 over 50. Right? So, once again, you need to find a way to turn your denominator into 100. Right? So, what do I need to do exactly? What do I need to multiply in order to turn 50 into 100. What do I need to multiply in order to turn 50 into 100? Very easy and simple and swag. So basically, when you multiply 50 by 2, it will give you 100. But once again, what you do at the bottom, you need to do at the top. 16 multiplied by 2 as well is going to give you 32. And just like that, you have your fraction. It's not a percentage yet. As a percentage, you would then go ahead and express this as 32%. I'll do a last one. 14 20ths, right, into a percentage, right? How many times would you need to multiply 20 in order to turn it into 100? How many times is 20 divided into 100, right? You can do the math. You can simply just count up 20, right? 40, right? 60, right? 80, right? 100. So 20 divides into 100 5 times, right? 20 divides into 100 5 times. So we have to multiply 20 by 5 in order to turn it into 100. 20 multiplied by 5 will quite clearly give you 100, right? Write down your division line. 14 multiplied by 5 as well, I think should give you 70. Yes, 14 times 5 is equal to 70, right? And how do I express this as a percentage? It's 70%. And just like that, I am done. I am finished with my conversions. Now let's move on to the next part of our lesson. Right, so here's an interesting question. We want to calculate certain percentages, right? Because some questions are going to ask you to find 20% of 30, 35% of 90, and all of that. You might be asked to find a certain percentage of a particular value. And here's one example of that. Raisibe has 300 marshmallows. She wants to give Mamello 20% of those marshmallows. How many of her marshmallows will she have to give away? Now, this question here, first of all, is going to distract you because marshmallows are absolutely tasty. So, try to ignore that for a second and look at the facts. Raisibe has 300 marshmallows. She wants to give away 20%. So, what you need to do here is to calculate or find 20% of 300. So, the first thing that you do, rewrite the question with all of the irrelevant details stripped out, right? So, 20% of 300, right? Secondly, you can convert your values into fractions, right? Convert your values into fraction. So 20% as a fraction becomes 20 over 100, right? 20 over 100. You're off. You can turn it into a multiplication sign, right? And then 300, right? 300 as a fraction, you can rewrite as 300 over 1. The reason why we give it a denominator of 1 is because we don't want to change its value. Because 300 divided by 1 remains 300. So we don't want to change the value of our lovely, beautiful, soft marshmallows. Okay. Now that you've rewritten your question in such a way that you can calculate easily, you have to go 20 over 100 or 20 100ths multiplied by 300 over 1 or 300 units, right? And then you just work it out per normal. 20 multiplied by 300 is 6,000. 100 multiplied by 1 is 100. And then you divide 6,000 by 100. Use the method that I taught you earlier. 6,000 divided by 100 will give you 60. That means of her entire marshmallow collection, Mamello will receive 60 of those, which is a very sweet deal in my opinion. The pun was definitely intended. Right, second question. Moano makes 200 rands selling slime. He decides to share 15% of his money with Sipho, who helped him pack up his stall. How much money will Moano give to Sipho? Right? Again, very long-winded question with many words, and now you're thinking about slime and how good it feels in your hands. Forget about all that. Look at the question, right? And state the facts. Moano has 200 rands. He wants to give 15% of that to Sipho, right? So you need to find 15% of 20. 15% of 20, right? So how exactly are you going to go about doing that? Very easy, very simple, very swag, right? So you're going to say, again, 15% of 200. Now, rands. Please, please, please include the rands, right? Include the units in your question so that you don't lose sight of your answer. 15% of 200 rands. What is 15% of 200? No, let me rephrase that. What is 15% as a fraction? Yes? I can't hear you. Louder, please. It's 15 over 100. 15 over 100, the of can be considered to be a multiplication sign. 15% of 200 over 1. Once again, we don't want to change the value of 200 in this particular instance. Right, now that all of your information is lined up perfectly, what you're going to do in this particular case is say 15 multiplied by 200, and that will give you 3,000 rands over 100 multiplied by 1 is 100, right? And then simplify this. What is 3,000 divided by 100? 3,000 divided by 100 is 30. It's 30 rands, right? So Sipho is going to get a nice payday of 30 rands. He can get like, I don't know, jelly babies with that. I don't know what you would buy with that. But he could get whatever he wanted with that. Let's move on to the next and final question. Right. Toto has 500 oranges. 7% of them turn out to be rotten, so he throws them out. How many oranges do you throw out? First of all, Toto, what are you doing with that many oranges? Come on, man. Come on. That's too many oranges for one person. Can I have some? Can I have 10 of... Anyway, so, first things first, right? 7% of 500. 7% of 500, right, is equal to 7 over 100 multiplied by 500 over 1. Work that out. 7 times 500 is equal to, drum roll, anyone? $3,500 over 100 times 1 is equal to 100, and then 3,500 divided by 100 is equal to 35. Alright, boys and girls, that's it for today's video. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, yeah, for more skateboarding tips. Anyway, thank you. Bye. Goodbye. Click off. It's over. Goodbye. Click off the video.